Hey folks, how's it going? This is Iron Seagull here. So I've really been looking forward to seeing what Paralives would reveal first in 2026. And turns out we got a lengthy post all about the genetic system. So this should be a pretty interesting thing to go over. We did last time get a sneak peek at some animation at children's activities that you're seeing in the background here. But yeah, without further ado, let's talk about this new blog post on genetics. Genetics and visual features, inheritance in Paralives. So Anna here is going to talk about the genetic system, something we started working on a long time ago, back in 2020. Time goes by so fast. I've been revisiting the whole system recently to make it work with all the updates to the ParaMaker that have been implemented since, and to integrate it into the pregnancy gameplay, a perfect opportunity to show you how it holds up in action, different types of inherited traits. In real life, our physical appearance is influenced by the genes we get from our parents and lots of environmental factors. Don't worry if you don't remember your biology class about dominant and recessive genes. There won't be a test. Whew, thank goodness. Our main challenge in Paralives was to create a system that lets the player recognize certain traits passed down through their generations of Paras somewhat realistically, without diving into overly complex genetic rules. We wanted things to feel believable with some fun details for those of you who do remember Punnett squares, while keeping the system lightweight and consistent with character customization. We use different inheritance rules depending on the type of trait, and we're focusing solely on visual aspects here. Let's go through them. Facial features, straight from one of the parents. Our goals with facial features inheritance are quite simple and definitely not nearly as complex as real-world genetics. We essentially want the player to be able to recognize that they have their mother's nose, or they have their dad's jawline. How it works. For each facial feature, like the nose, chin, etc., the child inherits all the relevant sliders from one parent, chosen randomly. For example, they might inherit their entire set of nose sliders from their mom, and the cheeks from their dad. This keeps things coherent and avoids weird mixes of incompatible sliders, which can quickly lead to ugly or extreme results. Here is our favorite couple from the trailer video, and the two children we created from them with the genetics tools of the ParaMaker. Aren't they cute? Okay. Yeah, this seems pretty fair. I don't think I have any issue with this. So yeah, just making sure it all kind of lines up properly with like how exactly to decide which parent they get the genetics from. Yeah, definitely I'm warming up more to how the Parafolk look, even though I even liked how they looked pretty early on in some of like, not like the super early videos, but some of the earlier stuff. Yeah, they looked good in as well. But we got the height, partly from the parents, mostly up to chance. As you know, changing the height of the characters is central to Paralives, and we've been trying to make this happen since the very beginning of development. Having this possibility of different heights adds a lot of uniqueness to characters and makes the world feel more diverse and alive. Our goal for the genetics part of height is not only to get this idea of height being inherited, but also to add some variation to it so that children of the same parents don't necessarily have the same height. We want the player to say things like, this family has giant genes running in it, or this child grew to be taller than both their parents. Waiting for kids to grow before knowing which one is going to be the tallest of the family is a nice little detail that this system makes possible. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Alright, how it works. We split heights into 3 categories: short, medium, tall, with different ranges depending on the pair's sex, resembling real-life statistics. When generating a child's height, we randomly pick one parent's category and apply it to the child. Then we randomize the exact value within that range. That means your parent might be tall like his mom, even if they're not exactly the same height. The big brother is already taller than everyone. Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty tall. Okay. Yeah, again, that seems pretty fair. It's like, okay, I'm not exactly the same height as one of my parents, but I mean, I'm around the same height, so makes sense. Note, in the Paramaker, you can make a genetic child from two same-sex parents, but during gameplay, the parental couple will always consist of one para that can get pregnant and one para that can get others pregnant. You can edit these per character in the Paramaker. Then we got eye color, skin color, hair color and texture, freckles, your textbook dominant and recessive genes. For those traits, instead of getting the direct value from one of the parents, we wanted to build a more complex genetic system that reflects simplified dominant/recessive models that are already documented in real life. These are the only traits that are able to skip a generation. Oh, okay, that's cool. They have that whole aspect. How it works. We built a simple system of genes and... what is that? Alleles? Oh, alleles. I just looked it up to simulate how these features are passed down. Some traits are dominant, meaning they only need one copy of the gene allele to appear, like brown eyes. Others are recessive, which means they need two matching alleles to show up, like blue eyes. I already talked a little bit about the two gene model for eye color in this very old post, but here's another example that we implemented for hair texture. There's one gene for hair texture, and it can have 4 possible alleles: straight, wavy, curly, or coily, with coily being the most dominant and straight the most recessive. In other words, the more curls you have, the more likely the trait is to win when mixed. Let's say a para gets one curly allele from their mom and one wavy allele from their dad. Since curly is more dominant than wavy, the para will have one of our curly hairstyles chosen at random. But the wavy gene is still there, and it could show up again in their child if paired with another recessive allele. Okay, that's cool. We got some depth going on with that. And there's another example. It's a cute family. I like her. She's cool. I like the jumpsuit. Actually, kind of reminds me of... oh, I forget her name. She was in Dream Home Decorator in the trailers. Yeah, that outfit reminds me so much of that. Oh, that's right. Patina was her name. Yeah. But in this example, the mother's hair is coily and the father's hair is straight. In genetics terms, the dad has to have straight/straight alleles, since straight hair is never dominant. Since the kid has curly hair, it means his mom has coily/curly alleles, and he has curly/straight alleles. One curly grandpa or grandma would have been very proud. Okay. The application of the genetic system. We use the genetic system in several different situations. When creating a para from scratch in the Paramaker, the game analyzes their current features and deduces the genome data corresponding to the actual look of the character. If the character has unnatural traits like pink eyes or green skin, their genetic data is randomly assigned. When creating a para from two parents, whether you're in the Paramaker or live mode gameplay by getting pregnant, the game generates a child by following the inheritance rules we've explained above from the genetics data of the two parents. When adding a parent or sibling in the Paramaker, the system uses existing genetic data to generate the new family members, so everything fits together nicely. Not implemented yet, but might be in an update in the future, an advanced genetics interface for all the geeky players out there wanting to control their parents' genetics themselves. Yes, that'd be very cool. Yeah, please do that. I mean, I don't know how often I would use that, but I think that would be very good if you want to set up something super specific for storytelling. But no, babies and toddlers do not have access to full sliders, so their features might look a bit generic at first. Okay, I guess that makes sense, but don't worry, their genetic data is still computed and saved. And once they grow up, they should reveal their true heritage. Here's the updated look of the interface for creating characters with genetics. Note that right now, only 2 options are available: create child and create twin, but there should be more soon: create parent and create sibling. You can choose the sex and the life stage of the child you want to randomize. Okay, here we go. Child, twin, we got the parents here, female, male, and then the life stage, and then you can randomize. All right, yep, that seems pretty in line with what I would have expected for that screen. Hacking your para's DNA with the mod system. As with most of our in-game systems, genetics are widely moddable. You can add, remove, or modify any trait category that supports genetic inheritance, set the sliders you want, inherited or not, and more. Some examples of applications could be create a new alien species with green and gray skin tones, with green as the dominant color. Make unnatural colors like bright pink eyes or blue skin inheritable. Add new accessories like devil horns or Shrek ears and make them inheritable too. Pretty sure Shrek ears would be a dominant trait in my scientific opinion. Oh man, can you imagine having something like that? Just going through the generations of paras. Do you have any other ideas for genetic traits that you would like to mod into Paralives? I'd be happy to hear them. There are many little details we are still working on to make the most believable and good looking children paras, but I hope you enjoyed this little tour of the genetic system to date. That's it for me. Have a wonderful weekend. And yeah, the post is now public, of course. Yeah, because this was in, what, August when this was first put up? Yeah, wow, that is, yeah, quite a long time ago now. So probably there's quite a bit that has changed. I'm not sure if they edited this post a whole lot between then and now, but yeah, this was mostly my first time reading this, and there's definitely some stuff to take in. Like, there's a lot more sort of like statistics to talk about, but it's pretty cool that they're like putting in all this effort into the genetic system. I think it sounds pretty fair and realistic from my first impressions here. So yeah, that should be interesting going through generations and seeing like, oh, what sort of hair do they inherit, or like what color of eyes, or like their hair color. Yeah, even like freckles, if that ends up running in the family that I play as, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, even the heights. That's pretty cool. So this should help make generational play a lot more interesting. That's it for now. So some interesting insight for how genetics are planned to work in this game. It'll be interesting to see what else is revealed between now and May 25th, which is when early access is now planned to launch. Feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, what you think so far, and if there's any other hopes that you have for Paralives in relation to genetics. And be sure to subscribe if you'd like to keep up with my latest gaming content. I will talk to you all later, and have a great day. Thanks for watching.